Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's another episode of Leeds United Latest with myself, Stephen Brown, and also joining me as ever is Jason Booker. Guys, if you're watching along, get your comments in, get your likes in, get subscribed to the channel. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things, all the attention on Farker that's happened from the fallout against Burnley. We're going to be talking about XG charts. We're going to be talking about a huge game tomorrow night against West Ham. And it's one of those games, Jay, isn't it, where the Friday night game, it can really make or break your weekend. I mean, we were laughing at Downsy, weren't we, when Huddersfield lost on Thursday the other week, and it's just kind of kiboshes your football weekend for the rest of it, doesn't it? I love a Leeds win on Friday, and you can just watch the rest of the weekend's games, and you can just be like, I'm going to watch Match of the Day, I'm going to watch the Sunday game, But if you lose it, it's like, it puts that bitter taste in your mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, watching the weekend, especially now that we're in the Premier League, because I'll be honest with you, last season I weren't really that interested in the Prem.
No, it would have bad Prem though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bad Prem.
Premier League, wasn't it?
I kind of kept to cast an eye over it from time to time, but I was so fixated on the Championship. But this season, I'm fully invested in everything that happens on the Premier League. I watch the 5 o'clock kickoff, I watch the 12 o'clock kickoff, I watch all Sunday, you know what I mean? Like, I watch it all. So, and it's much sweeter we have picked up 3 points. I will say that. Like, you can really enjoy what then goes on in the rest of the weekend. We're not got to that stage yet where we're like, we need X team to lose, really. You know what I mean? We're not there yet, so you can just enjoy good football games. And the Premier League has been exciting this season, hasn't it? Like, there's loads of little subplots going on. There were subplots right from day one of the Premier League season this season, really. But this that's happening. Forest, new managers, Andrews at Brentford, Manchester United, what they're going to look like up and down. Liverpool starting great but not playing well and then dropping off. And I City back, can Arsenal do it? All these subplots are all going off all at once. So it's a great league, and thankfully we're part of it.
Yeah, we are indeed. And yeah, after a defeat, Jay, I mean, always the discussion and debate around it. I've got to admit, I've been all over the shop mentally about what to make of it and the fallout, and I think I'm kind of settling towards we just need to calm down, we just need to keep us heads, and I think some stats that I'm going to throw out later hopefully back that up as well. You uploaded a video yesterday in passion defence of Daniel Farker. We've got to talk a little bit around the noise, because I think that Farker out noise, it's any excuse for that to get started, that button to be pressed, and it happens. Losing to Burnley, we all know it's not a good result, but you're watching videos, you're hearing people talking about new managers and things that are going to get better with Farker and all this kind of stuff, but it's frustrating because we know it's coming, don't we, Jay? We knew that would be the noise after we said it on the stream on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we said it before the game in this show last Thursday. It is frustrating. It's really frustrating because I think it's actually really toxic. I think it's toxic to the fan base. I think it means that we enjoy what we desperately hoped for even less. If we go down this season, and there's a fair chance that we might, we're actually creating our own pain and misery before we need to in the way that we're approaching this. Every game, it is, the fans are treating it like we are going for the Championship, like we're going for the title. And every game is just up and down in terms of like, no, we don't need, we're going to lose lots of games, and we're probably going to lose at some point this season 3 or 4 on the bounce. I mean, I really hope it's not Friday, because the noise would get really loud, but it is very likely to happen, and it'll probably happen against teams that are a little bit out of position. West Ham are likely at some point are going to get their act together and probably start winning games. Now, again, I hope it's not Friday, but if it is like, they're a good side, and they probably will end up finishing 12th or 13th, I reckon, this season. You know what I mean? They're probably going to be quite comfortable away from relegation. So I refuse to get so far ingrained in this negativity that we're building for ourselves, especially when the facts don't back it up. One bad result shouldn't then undo the way that we started this season. And I suppose I am super, super, super conscious of how limited in certain areas this squad is. And I just don't believe that both arguments are fair to exist at the same time. The same people that are smashing Daniel Farker are laughing and joking and have minds blown that Brendan Aronson and Jack Harrison are starting on the wings in the Premier League. Well, which is it? Because what I've seen is a manager that's been able to get the most out of what he's got, that then he's been forced to play these players. You know, he said at the weekend, I saw fans say at the weekend that he's picking his favourites. Who? Brendan Aronson didn't start the season. He's been forced into playing that position. I actually think he's done all right. I think him and Brett and Okafor, have probably looked the best combination. But if Dan James is fully fit or Willie Gnonto's fully fit, both of them will start over him. We all know that. And the same goes on the other side. Like, Jack Harrison's not his favourite. He's started one game this season. One game.
I don't. Yeah, where's that narrative come? Like, is the what if Farke, the way he talked in press conferences about Jack coming up, that's obviously to try and integrate him and to, he's not going to say, "Oh God, yeah, I don't know why this guy's back in the squad." Yeah. I mean, come on, like let's use his brains here, people. I mean, I saw a point because one of my kind of points, and I raised this on the Monday night show about, does he need to have a different formation in him? And I saw Browney on one Leeds channel, and a friend of the show, Browney, and he made a really good point. He said, "Why should he? Why should Farke have to have a whole other tactic because we haven't got the personnel to deliver his A tactic?" And I thought, that is spot on. Like, I mentioned it that show. I said, if he could do the 4-3-3, and if he had the right players available, if we'd have got that exciting other winger in, if Okafor was still fit, I would back us to be able to deliver. I really would. I would back that formation and that setup he has got us in, by the way, which outplayed Bournemouth and outplayed Tottenham and these kind of things. I would back him to get the results. Now, the worry was against Burnley last week is it's a dead attack. We know it's a dead attack. We know Aronson can't put the ball in the back of the net. We know Jack Harrison offers very little. We knew it was going to be difficult. We've got three midfielders who workmanlike and all that. We knew it was going to be hard, and I think that added to that kind of bit of this is going to be harder than we thought. But for me, if he had the tools, Farke, I believe we'd be higher in the league than we are at the moment.
The thing is as well, Brandon, we still created chances. It was not like we didn't create any. And I'm a Brendan defender. I won't even say I'm a fan, but I'm definitely a defender. He has a great chance. Daniel Farke can't score that for him.
Exactly.
Again, he's so quick to just say that chance was all on the players, but all of the problems are all on Daniel Farke's tactics. It makes no sense. That chance was born out of the high press, which turned over the possession quickly, which created that chance. Then that's down to Daniel Farke and the players implementing that tactic and structure. He can't then put the ball in the back of the net. The same goes for the other chances. Jayden Bogle. Jayden Bogle misses an open goal from a yard out. People have forgotten about that chance. And again, because it's
Nemetcha's chance had do you know how high the XG for Nemetcha's chance was? It was 0.69.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculously
high.
More
than all of Burnley's put together.
Yeah.
So we have to apply context to when you're trying to observe the games. And I agree with you. And I agree with Browney on it as well. I mean, I made the point on the Monday night show that not that many managers have A tactic, B tactic, and C tactic. They don't. It's a fallacy. People pretend like this is a thing. They think that like Emery and Arteta and Pep and Klopp, they have all these different formations that they just change to like this in game. They don't. That doesn't happen. What happens is they'll put an instruction out onto the pitch that then a technically gifted player will be able to really pick up on and think, right, okay, I can affect the game a little bit more based on what he's saying like this. And then it changes within the formation. So the better the players that you've got, the more likely that is to then make a visual change. And the fans just see that as being, it changed it in game, it changed the formation. That's not what happens. I promise you it's not. You go, I swear, you go and have a look at any of the successful teams, they will all play one formation and they'll do plan A better. I made the point about Bielsa on Monday night. He never had a second plan. And we as fans and as media, we screamed and shouted for different stuff under Bielsa, even when it was going great. Why don't you try two up front? I remember that getting said a lot. Why don't Nketiah and Bamford play together?
Exactly.
Yeah. And we never went away deviated from the 4-1-4-1. Never. Now, Daniel Farke, arguably, has shown more flexibility and bend than I thought he was even possibly imagined to do. I thought we would go the 4-2-3-1, but he's gone the 4-3-3. Actually blends into a 4-1-4-1. It's more like the Bielsa tactic than you think. I promise you, on Friday, you watch how we set up. It will be a back four, Ethan in front, a 4, and then Calvert-Lewin. It's a 4-1-4-1. That's very different to what we did last season, but people don't understand what they're looking at. They think it's the same. It's not. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, I would be really, really careful about getting rid of a manager whose underlying numbers are so good. Now, if the underlying numbers were trending downwards, if we were not creating chances, if we were not getting a sniff in games, possessions low, if all those kind of underlying numbers were poor, I would be really worried. But the underlying numbers are really, really good. And I want to bring this up because The Athletic does like an alternative Premier League table every week based on a different statistical element. Now, this one is the XG chart for big chance conversion. So big chance conversion, who's that team sitting 20th on just 17% of big chances being converted? It is Leeds United, bottom of the league in terms of chances taken. Now, if we had 10% onto that, 5% maybe, how many more goals will we have? How many more points would we have? And what this is saying to us, it's saying the tactics are working. If you're creating big chances, by the way, 11 of those big chances have been in the last 3 games. Think about who we've played in the last 3 games. That is incredible numbers. And you want to get rid of that? Okay, so who are you going to bring in then? Who are you going to bring in when your team is structurally and statistically performing? Who's going to come in and go, right, scrap all that, let's start again? They've still got the same players. They've still got Jack Harrison. They've still got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. What are they going to do?
I don't understand what people's expectations are, Branny. You're absolutely spot on. I mean, this argument around somebody being able to do it better. Sure, you know what? If you could go and prize Emery away from Villa, or Iraola away from Bournemouth, or Thomas Frank away from Spurs, sure, they could all do better. They're all better managers than Daniel Farke. I'm not saying he's the best manager in the league, but apply the context of the fact that Leeds United have been in the Premier League for 4 out of the last 25 years or whatever it is, right? We're recently promoted, we've just won the championship, and we're expected to go back down. What manager better than Daniel Farke, more prepared with this squad, given the fact that he's had 3 years with it, he's had 3 years of understanding what it takes to manage Leeds United, what manager is going to come in that's better than him? You're living in cloud cuckoo land, Leeds fans. If you think that we're going to go out and get this magical manager that you're all expecting, I'm telling you, Bielsa has warped some people's minds into reality.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, look what Southampton did last year. They ended up with that Juric guy, didn't they? This is the type of thing. You look at Nottingham Forest now. Postecoglou comes in. It's a disaster. Sean Dyche, who is the relegation expert. They've gone to that level now. Do we want to be that? Do we want to? Because I'm telling you, that's what will happen. Unless you hit the jackpot, unless you win the lottery and pick that manager that somehow is able to. Because at that point, you're struggling. If Farke goes, who's able to get something else and do it, then great. The chances of it, I'm sorry, it's Javi Gracias out there. It's that type of level out there. And do we want that again? And do you remember the chopping and changing we had in the relegation season? It's horrible. It doesn't work.
They forget.
Mark was lucky that Leeds stayed up that season after Bielsa went. Dead lucky.
It was Rafinha. Rafinha was the difference. He kept us up, not Jesse Marsh.
Absolutely.
Look at Leicester last season. They went through Steve Cooper, then another. I think then Nistelrooy came in, and they
got rid of Steve Cooper when they were in a solid position when they weren't even in the relegation zone.
It's actually very, very similar, and we're far better than what Steve Cooper was showing at Leicester last year. Way better. So, you couldn't be more spot on, mate. And you'd end up looking at very best towards a top end Championship manager. Remember when Southampton got Nathan Jones from Luton? And they sacked him within 8 minutes. That's what you're looking at. So just be so careful what you wish for. Michael Carrick's out of work. That'd be a link. I'm telling you straight away. I can see that. and he'd get a promotion almost. He'd get a better job on the back of failing at Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? Like they're the realms of what you're looking at. So I just don't understand. Nobody out of anybody that's said Fark out and not being happy with that can bring up a realistic name. Not a single one of them can do it because it doesn't exist. They just don't like him, and they've not liked him since day one he walked through the door.
100%, and it's the Bielsa thing, it's the Norwich thing, it's all those things that people just get confused about. Now, just to drill down into this XG chart a little bit, so as I mentioned, 11 of the big opportunities Leeds have come were in the last 3 matches against Bournemouth, Tottenham and Burnley, and they've only converted one big chance, which was Noah Okafor versus Spurs, that tap-in. Now, this is a concern, and I want to hear what you think about this as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been Leeds' worst culprit. He's missed all 5 big chances. But the most glaring miss was Lucas Nemetra at the weekend. Aronson, Harrison, Bogle also had good opportunities as well. Now, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there's so much, and we've talked about it before. There's so much to like about what he does and what he brings. And I guess what he brings, is it worth it to have a guy that's going to miss you 5 big opportunities? Because I'll be honest, I have no faith that he's ever going to be able to put the ball in the back of the net when the ball's at his feet, unless it's, a tap-in. But where's that line, Jay, between, yes, the hold-up play, the headers, the knock-ons and all that, versus, but he's missed 5 big chances. I mean, if he puts 2 of those in, it could radically change it. I guess the problem is also, Nemetra's not prolific, and Piru doesn't offer any of the other stuff. I mean, it's a conundrum, isn't it?
The big question is, Browney, do you want them chances to exist or not? Because the difference is Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to get into them positions and have them chances created, whereas Piru, as much as he's fantastic in front of goal, isn't going to find himself in them positions anywhere near as often because he's not as good as the rest of the stuff. Plus, the link-up play then doesn't happen. So you don't actually create the chance. We've seen this already this season. Before Calvert-Lewin was fit, think about how impotent the attack looked then. And we didn't have Okafor on the side, that's true. But there's always a yin and yang to this. Like, where do you sacrifice to bring somebody else in? You know what I mean? Like, how do you balance that? And I understand people's argument towards we needed to go out and invest in a 9. I'm still not fully convinced that the 9's the issue. I think the issue is more around the creativity of it, rather than the actual big chances. But them stats that you just read out there would disagree with that. Calvert-Lewin didn't have any big chances, however, at the weekend. I don't believe he had big chances.
No, he didn't have all.
He was more the facilitator to some of the others, but the creativity was missing. Even though we had 19 chances on goal, we didn't really, on a regular basis, create them big chances. Aronson and Bogle were the 2, and then the Nemetra one later on. So I think it's a double barrel. I've got up on my second screen here. In the last 4 games, we scored 3 against Wolves, 2 against Bournemouth, 1 against Spurs, and then obviously none against Burnley. So we are scoring goals, but we're not scoring them at the rate that the statistics should suggest. So it's a bit of both. I've seen people saying that we need just before I mention that, actually, this has been a problem with Leeds United for years, by the way. This was a problem under Bielsa. I've seen somebody just mention Bamford there. Bamford used to miss very similar chances to what Dominic Calvert-Lewin was missing in the Championship. He used to miss exactly the same kind of chances. The difference was we were creating so many. The volume was so high that eventually he was bound to score one. He's the kind of striker that will just make sure the shot gets put on target, rather than actually trying to finish it, making sure that we actually put it in the back of the net. A bit like Aronson's chance at the weekend. The only thing Aronson was really thinking about was getting the shot on target. And that then, unfortunately, gives defenders, keepers opportunities to pull it out. But I've seen somebody recommend playing Piru with Calvert-Lewin. I would just really worry about what you would be leaving off in the midfield. It would worry me. The only way that I could see that working would be if you then brought in a more narrow formation and you drop the wingers altogether. So you maybe go Brendan in, like you could still do a 4-2-3-1, but the 2 wingers become central attacking midfielders almost, and they're prepared to drop back into that midfield. That's the only way that I could see him doing it, because he isn't going to deviate away from the wing play, really. But I still don't think he'll do it, and I still don't think it'd ultimately be the right choice. I think it'd just leave us too open in the middle.
Yeah, let's get to some of your comments, because I know they're coming in about DCL. Robbie, thanks for your comment, mate. We knew what we were getting with DCL. This doesn't include scoring goals. I mean, any of us could have said, I mean, if you talk to any Everton fan about DCL, that's exactly what they say. So, yeah, can't argue with that.
Link-up plays way better than what I thought, though.
Yeah.
I think he's far better of a footballer than I thought. Yeah, I mean, it's always different when somebody comes and plays for your team and you start seeing them on a regular basis.
Yeah, do love this from Diggler. I love the optimism here, and I hope it's true. DCL isn't missing actual sitters like Bamford did, in my opinion. At some point, DCL is going to start banging them in. Are we relying on that a little bit, where there's a kind of hope where we're going, he's just going to suddenly be able to put the ball in there? What I don't understand, Jay, is like, if you've been a Premier League, I mean, how long has he played in the Premier League now? I mean, 8 years or 6 years? 7 years? It's like,
10 years, yeah.
How... I don't understand, if you've been a striker at that level for that amount of years, why there isn't at least a bit of improvement in consistency in how you're finishing a football. I mean, surely.
I made this point a few weeks ago. It's got nothing to do with technical ability. It's all to do with composure. Yeah. It's everything to do with what goes on between the ears when them chances come up. So it's very difficult to build that. Sometimes it happens for some strikers and they have a bit of an Indian summer when the pressure's a little bit off later on in the career. So maybe we might see that from Calvert-Lewin at some point. But you know what? Like, I know that it's definitely an issue in terms of converting chances and scoring goals. But I think it also needs worth mentioning that we've not had a clean sheet since Newcastle on August the 30th, which was 6 games ago.
Yeah.
We should have had one at Fulham, fair enough, but still we didn't. And since then, we've conceded 2 against Burnley, 2 against Spurs, 2 against Bournemouth, 1 against Wolves, and 1 against Fulham. So we've conceded a fair chunk of goals. So at the beginning of the season, after 3 games, we'd had 2 clean sheets. We've not had one since. So my point for making this up is that we have opened the pitch up to try and make sure that we are then more creative and score more goals. But it is meaning that it's a little bit more susceptible to them at the back. Somewhere or another, that is happening. And I know we're going to get on to potential absentees from the weekend, and hopefully that'll make a difference. But there is something in the way that we've opened up the play, I think.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it? Because then, I mean, I remember the Newcastle game, and it was so grinding.
Yeah.
But we didn't concede. We got a point. You know,
we were solid in that game.
We were. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is a really. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Sorry, I'll get Nigel's out, and then we'll go to that one. DCL can't do his hold-up play, flick-ons, etc., and score all the goals. He needs a partner up top to work with. Was it this one at the bottom you wanted?
Yeah.
Robbie, we don't secure enough possession to play DCL and Peru.
I agree with that completely. I think, I don't really like Pirro in the 10, but I understand his benefits. But if you were going to play Pirro in the 10, you need to have a lot of the ball, because you're going to spend a lot of time, if you don't, tracking the midfield with just a 2. You're also then asking Ampadu to play in a double pivot in the midfield, which I don't actually think he's the best at. I think Ethan's best position is the position he's been playing this season, the Calvin Phillips role, the one in front of the back 4. So I agree with Robbie's point completely there. But then, so we're saying that can't happen. What suggestion do you make if Daniel Farke's the problem? And I'm not saying anybody in the chat here is saying this, but if Daniel Farke's a problem and it's a tactical issue, but we're saying that we can't do what we've just said, what does he do with the players that he's got to improve this?
Yeah, exactly. What about, I mean, thinking back to the Everton game, and Peru played really well in that, and it was almost like the perfect game for him. I know he didn't have shots, he didn't score, but it was like it wasn't a hustle bustle. It was like Everton kind of stood off us a bit, but his link-up play was superb in that game, and it was very slick. And I wonder, you're playing an opponent Friday night where maybe they're going to sit back. It's a Nuno team. It's going to be a counter-attack. Is there maybe room where Peru starts?
Maybe. The pace definitely suited him against Everton.
Yeah.
That was the thing against Everton. And I think, unfortunately for Farke, I don't think he had much choice, because against Arsenal, he killed him. And I think it's actually played into his confidence a little bit. And then I think from the Newcastle game, who did we play against Newcastle? Did we play Metcher up front? I think Metcher started, and then Calvert-Lewin came in not so long after that. I think Calvert-Lewin came in for Wolves away, so we must have played with somebody else at Fulham. I can't remember exactly how it panned out, but it felt like the Arsenal game was like the beginning of the end for Perot. Yeah. And I just felt like it was a bit unfair because he was never gonna. He should never have played that game, but he had to because of the injuries. So there's definitely a position to say. But I mean, if you're asking me to pick my starting lineup, there's no way that I would drop Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah. I just think he's got so much quality and experience and link-up play in there. Even though I know he's going to miss a few chances, I still trust that he's going to probably pop an header or two in, and he's going to get into the positions to score one. Whereas I would worry that Pirlo will just be anonymous for 70 minutes of the game, and then we bring Dominic Calvert-Lewin on anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Farke's press conference yesterday. We're going to get to the West Ham game because we haven't got too long. But Farke's press conference, some interesting little bits. Okafor, Nonto still not in team training. It looks like it's probably going to be unlikely, although he did say they'll make some late calls. I think he would love Okafor to be ready for that. I think it's, I mean, are you at that point where even if it's 75% Okafor, you're still going to bang him in because he could be a real difference maker?
He's the only X factor in it. That's it. He's the only X factor. I think if he's available, he plays. And I think we're seeing that. And it's just a shame that he's got the injury record. And I think hopefully we can get him fully fit because he is quality. He has got that little bit of quality. I think he'll play, if I'm honest. I feel almost certain that Okafor will play.
Yeah, we need that as well, don't we? We need that spark. Interesting comments about Stack as well, because Farke was asked directly about Stack's kind of drop off in the last couple of games, and as he noticed him dropping off, and Farke did admit, he thinks he's not been at his absolute best, and revealed that he's been carrying an injury. So he's had a broken finger and he's had an issue with his ribs that have contributed to kind of a dip in performance. And I thought Farke made a good point about when you're carrying a knock, you're kind of thinking about yourself and protecting yourself a little bit more than just kind of freely being into the game because you're kind of not wanting to get hurt anymore or kind of further aggravate the injury. And I thought that's good to know because, it was a bit of a head scratcher why that kind of drop off had happened. And it kind of, I'm kind of glad to know that because it makes me think, there's a reason why rather than just, he's kind of off the boil.
The second goal don't look good for him, does it, against Burnley? No. I know we've all seen the clip. He's not on his own though, by the way. Ethan Ampadu
was poor.
Struijk, all three of them just kind of sit. I mean, Pascal's reaction to it really irritates me because he's just like he just strolls around and it really annoys me. But there were all three of them were guilty of it. It does encourage me a little bit in that at least we know a reason. I would then question why he's starting. And that's on Daniel Farke. I'm capable of criticising him as well. Why is Tanaka not starting against Burnley then? I kind of advocated for Stack starting against Burnley because I thought the quality difference would have made that difference up. But if he's not fully fit and he's not capable of putting 100% in a game like that, why is Tanaka not starting? That lays at Farke's door for me in that one.
No, I agree with that. Interesting enough as well, Struijk and Ampadu have had an illness. They were out of team training yesterday. The Struijk one in particular, you're looking at that going, is it now time for Bijol to come in? I think I'm not one of these that's screaming for this player and that player to start, but I am very much in the camp that I think it's time for Yaka to be in. This is an international player who... statistically last year was very good, played in a top 5 league. I just think it's time now, Jay. I really think it's time. And I think with Pascal, you're just seeing those little bits of things happening and, against Spurs and, there's just those things that are creeping in more and more and more. And I just think let's get Bijol in. Let's get him in. Like Robbie says, why did we buy Bijol? I know. Let's get him in.
In the defence of Farke with this one, just for a minute, Bijol was suspended for the first game of the season. I truly believe that Bijol would have started that if he hadn't been. And Pascal was very good thereafter. Outside of the Arsenal game, I think it was probably before we then played Spurs, where I was like, there were some things that came in against Bournemouth. There were moments, and we've seen other moments throughout the season that have not cost us. But then over the last 3 weeks, I would say we've started seeing more and more Pascal-isms. And it's time. It's 100% time. He's, like you say, he's an international footballer. He's a top flight footballer. He played loads of games for Udinese last season. He was widely sought after. We beat top teams to his signature from Serie A, including AC Milan. So, this is a top level player. And we need to find as many ways of bridging the gap to the quality in the Premier League as possible. Yeah. And he's one of them to do that. We know Pascal Struijk's not good enough. We've been here before. He's not been good enough for the last 2 seasons in the Championship, really.
Well, the problem is for me, Jay, as well, if you're getting worse as the season goes on, I mean, I'm frustrated for Pascal because I would love him to be what I think some fans think he is. And, and I'm really surprised, he's 26 or something. I'm like, he's not improving in that way.
He's not improved defensively at all.
No, he's not. No,
all the way through his career, he's not. Like, he's just not. He's got physically more mature, and he kind of, he's got that strength. And I think he's really good in the air. He's fantastic in the air. But yeah, it's time for Biol to come in there, and I think from there, hopefully, we start to see a real quality difference. But I think Joe Rodon improves if he's got somebody a little bit more assured alongside him, because I think Joe Rodon's been doing the job of 2 players at times this season. And he compensates for Jadon Bogle on the right hand side as well when Bogle's not there. So I think Rodon's been sensational this season. I think he's been arguably one of our very, very best players. I think he's been brilliant. So yeah, Biol, it's time. I think he starts him as well. Ethan will 100% play.
Yeah.
Ampadu will 100% play. There's no way an illness is going to keep Ampadu out of Friday. But it seems like a perfect excuse to have Pascal on the bench.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that window of opportunity, isn't it, now for Bijol? Stick him in and, let's see how he gets on. Well, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, kick-off Friday night. Huge game against the Hammers, West Ham. They had a disastrous result Monday against Brentford. I mean, I was watching it before I jumped on the Monday show. And they were good for about a minute and a half. And I bombed a tweet out about Somerville because he was just electric. And then it was just chaos. I mean, they were absolutely woeful. And they're in a mess. Nuno's not won a game since he's gone in there. They hate the ownership. The stadium issues rumble on. It just feels like a real mess. You probably couldn't pick a better opponent for Leeds at the minute. Maybe Wolves at home. But bearing all that in mind, Jay, is it a must-win?
No, it's not a must-win. I'm not getting into this must-win thing yet again. Adamant. I mean, look, I said this before the Everton game. I'm going to say it again today. I think it's a must-win for Farke, because the fan base will be all over him, especially if we lose. That worries me, because it worries me because of the impact it then has on Ellen Road, the impact it has on the players. And you made a great point last week around the belief starts going of the players the more the results don't come, even though the statistics show that we're deserving more out of these games. Eventually confidence starts to drop. So I hear that. So I think for all them reasons, it's a very, very important game. It feels to me again like you don't lose it, but at the same time, we need to pick up points somewhere over the course of the season to stay up. At some point there is going to be. You don't want to get to the point where you have to just win 10 in a row, like what I mean. So I hear both sides of it. I hear both sides, because again, they will be saying this is a must-win game. Yeah. So it can't be a must-win game for both of us when both of us can still stay up. You get what I mean? Like, the maths of it don't math, but it's a huge game. It's a huge game. I think the return of Somerville worries me. I can't lie. He strikes me as somebody that will be really, really up for this game. They've got a lot of players that can cause us a lot of problems. Paqueta, Somerville, Bowen, Fulkrug's a handful. Again, especially if Pascal's starting. Holy, like, he's just going to get absolutely bullied. They've got some other qualities. I mean, they are, for me, completely out of position. I wouldn't have thought there'd be a world in which West Ham go down. I think there's more likelihood that Forest go down than them. in terms of actually who's out on the pitch. But we've again said this again about Forest. We've seen worse teams than this West Ham team go down. So if the remedy is as such, they definitely could find themselves in there. So yeah, huge game, mate. But I am pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Friday night under the lights. It's a bit like the Norwich game when Joffrey scored in the last minute. It kind of feels a little bit like that. I think we can go and do the business. I really do.
Yeah, let's get into some of your comments. Robbie, West Ham will know the pressure is on us. This is a worry. Skip, it can go both ways tomorrow. We can score early and they can fold, or they come up here and their quality players turn up and beat us. I would love to see an Everton-esque kind of performance in terms of right at it, pressing and getting the crowd behind us and getting on top of them. I do feel that part of me is worried that it's going to be one of those nights where, and we had it a lot in kind of the couple of struggling seasons in the Premier League last time. Do you remember there was a game where Marsh was in charge? It was against West Ham. And it was just, I think it finished 1-1 or 2-2. And it was just absolutely chaotic. It was one of those games where we could have lost 4-0, we could have won 4-0. In the end, we had to settle for a draw. What I'm hoping is it's going to be a Farker controlled, we're able to assert ourselves and hopefully a bit of luck as well. That'd be nice.
There is huge pressure on them as well, though. Robbie's saying that, the pressure's on others. I disagree with that. I think they come into this with a lot of pressure on their backs, especially after losing 2-0 at home at Brentford. And I've just seen Robbie's comment there about saying that we were lucky to beat Everton. We weren't lucky to beat Everton at all. It was a close game. It was a tight game. There weren't much in between the two teams. But to say we were lucky to beat Everton is not the case. It's a handball. It's a penalty. It's as simple as that for me. So, look, yeah, we have to take his chances. We have to make the most of what comes our way. I think it'll be quite a controlled performance. I don't think Farker will send it out there for it to become a basketball game. You know what it's like. I think the first goal is huge. Yeah. Absolutely huge. If they score early or in the first half and it flattens Ellen Road down, that'll be difficult to play against.
If we score recently, hasn't it? Conceding that first goal.
Well, we've now conceded first in the last 5 games. So we've conceded in all 5 of them games and we've conceded first in all of them. I mean, it has shown huge resolve that we've come back to beat Wolves, draw against Bournemouth. We came back against Spurs, unfortunately, ultimately lost. So we have shown resilience and coming back power, but we can't keep on conceding first. We saw that in the Championship. We really struggled from coming from behind. So we need to keep that air of confidence. Daniel Farker's system is actually designed around taking a lead and then controlling the game. So if you lose the early advantage and have conceded early, it is a problem, and we have seen that over the 3 years. And it'd be a problem for Daniel Farker that we have.
Yeah. I think it could be one of them where the team sheet. I can imagine the Ellen Road reaction to the team sheet, and if you get one of your exciting players like Okafor in or something, great. Because if you don't, you can imagine it, can't you? The grumbling starting, before a ball's even being kicked.
I know I said it in the post match, but I was really disappointed with Jack Harrison last weekend. I know we know what we're getting, but I thought after the cameos that we'd seen off the bench that we'd see a bit of a vitalised Jack Harrison that were desperate to start games, and we saw a really flat, crap performance.
He's so limited, Jay. I mean, I thought he was trying, but he's just so limited. I mean, it's Premier League winger, and he can't do anything that resembles a Premier League winger at the stand. I mean, I was looking at that team going, have we got the worst attack in the league?
We might have. I don't think we've got the worst team in the league, but we might have the worst attack, especially when we've got a couple of injuries. I mean, Jack Harrison, for me, I think we've said this for a few years now, he's probably a better left back because defensively he's pretty astute. He's got good stamina. He can run up and down that side. He's probably a better left back than he is a left midfielder, and I think he probably will end up there at some point. Just before we do wrap up, Perry to start over Darlow, yes, I think he will skip. Perry's the number 1, and we've seen how limited Darlow is. I think over the last few weeks, I think he's been a safe pair of hands, good with his feet, but we need somebody that at some point will keep us in games that we shouldn't be in, or just save a chance that has got a higher XG than just straight to his hands. That's how it kind of feels with Darlow. It just feels like he just does enough, but he doesn't save anything of sort of note.
No, it's those little things, isn't it? And those little small percentages can add up. It's like Struijk. Let's get Perry in. Let's get Bijol and get the quality level up. That's why we've paid the money for this. Just having a brief look around the rest of the league then, in terms of fixtures this weekend, Jay, before we wrap up. Clash at the bottom, Wolves versus Burnley. I mean, that's going to be a crunch game. I mean, Wolves now, I mean, they're just in dire straits.
Yeah. Point in that, please. We need a draw there. That'd be nice. Dropping points. I mean, it's hard to see how Wolves survive at this stage, but if they pick up a bit of a run,
last time though. This time last
year,
year,
they did it last year, didn't they? I mean, at the end of the day, Brownie, like the facts is you're only one win away at the minute, even though they've lost 6, drawn 2. They're only one win away from being right back in it. So it just shows you, like, you can lose 5 on the bounce and not be out of it.
Well, it's weird. I'm like, I can't believe we've only won 2 games. Like, we've only won 2 games. It feels like, but we've done more, surely, haven't we, than just win 2 games? And you're right. If they win that, they're fully back in it. Elsewhere, you've got Sunderland, difficult trip away against Chelsea, Brentford at home to Liverpool. Now, potential banana skin there because Liverpool looks shaky as hell. And I've got to say, I know it. Having to slowly come to the realisation that Brentford, and Keith Andrews, it might not be the absolute bomb scare of an appointment we thought it was going to be.
Played some good stuff, mate. I mean, Liverpool battered Man United for large parts of the weekend, but there is problems there. There's no way that Liverpool lose again, surely. I mean, they've not lost 4 in a row in 10 years. They're not going to lose 5 in a row, surely. I would imagine that it'll be order restored there. Liverpool will get it up. I mean, they create so many chances, man. So many chances. Gakpo could have had 4 or 5 at the weekend. But I will say, and, credit where credit's due, Manchester United were very good. They actually played very good. I thought Harry Maguire was unreal. He was brilliant. Excellent. It pains me to say it. Cunha was excellent.
Can I just say, by the way, Jay, how bad was that last weekend in terms of everything? We lose to Burnley. Scum beat Liverpool at Anfield. Yeah. And then you just had little dots on, like, Matteo Joseph gets a brace. And Joseph gets a brace. You know what I mean? It's like everything just came in that one weekend to be like, make us feel like crap.
Sunderland, however, they are going to drop off. Clip it, mark my words, they are going to drop off. Now, they might deserve to win at the weekend. I didn't really see it. But you go and have a look at the underlying stats from them. They're the polar opposite of us. Yeah, they are. Their XG and all the things that you want to be in a certain place and not where they want to be, but they keep on picking up results. That can only last for so long. We see it with Sheffield United last season. Yeah. Eventually it catches up with you, and it will catch up with Sunderland. They're not as good as their position makes out that they are. They will start to lose games, and there'll be a wobble there. I feel absolutely certain of it. I'm not saying that they'll go down. They've probably got enough of a start now to maybe just limp across, but they'll be in and around the battle come the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should just very briefly say Forest away to Bournemouth. So you would hope tricky game for Sean Dyche, but then it's the Sean Dyche thing, and football, isn't it? Anything could happen.
We'll see. Interesting one, that one.
It is. Myself and Jay, we will be back post-match for instant reaction to Leeds United versus West Ham. An absolutely huge game. Really looking forward to it. Excited, nervous, all the good stuff. Let's hope the boys get a result, but we will catch you back then. Please get your comments in if you're watching this later. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow night. I've been Stephen Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you tomorrow night.